name is Margaret Locklear, and my co-host is Jules Dunn-Howie.
Good morning, everyone. We're so happy that you've joined us, and we have an esteemed panel for today's conversation. Let them introduce themselves.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Drew. I am the first Vice President for the Montgomery County Commission for Women. I'm also an attorney employed by the federal government and happy to serve you.
Good morning. I'm Ann Colt-Litis. I am the Division Chief for the Special Victims Unit for the City of Baltimore State's Attorney's Office, and I'm a candidate for Anne Arundel County State's Attorney.
Hi, I'm Barbara Robinson, Senator Barbara Robinson. I was in the House of Delegates for 10 years. I've been a state senator for 2 years, and I'm running for re-election representing the 40th Legislative District in Baltimore City.
Hi, my name is Pam Luby, and I'm an attorney and businesswoman in Anne Arundel County. I'm also the former chair of the Anne Arundel County Commission for Women, and I'm running for delegate in District 33.
Thank you, ladies. It's just wonderful to have such an esteemed panel here today. Thank you very much. Our topic of discussion today is about women running for office. So what do you have on that for us, Jules?
It is all about 2018, and it is all about the elections. And our next topic that we're going to talk about is really about the unprecedented number of women, yay ladies, yay, that are running for political office. This excites me. I get jazzed about this now because I understand the power of women. Right now we have an unprecedented surge of first-time female candidates. Many of them are overwhelmingly Democratic, running for big, small offices all across the United States. And at least 79 women are exploring runs for governor in 2018. And that's actually up 350% from 41 women who were looking at to do that in 2016. 900 women have already contacted organizations about how do I run? How can I get into the race? And so since President Trump's election, more than 26,000 women have actually reached out about launching a campaign. So we're saying he's done one wonderful thing. He has sparked these women to get excited about becoming part of the political process. And so ladies, I want to know what y'all think about that, because we've got 3 candidates up here with us right now. And we also have another progressive woman who understands the value of women's voice in the political process. So what say you?
I think that's a fantastic question, and it's a fantastic time because this is the year of the woman. And the fact that we have 5 people running for governor, and of those 5 people, 4 of them have women as lieutenant governors. They have the good sense to choose a woman as and only one is not an African American. So it's a great time for women. It's a great time for not only women in politics, but to women to make a way for other women to go into politics. Because we see women that are starting organizations to recruit other women to go into politics. So it's a great time. And the fact that I'm running again, it's a really great time.
I was a member of Emerge, which was one of those organizations that promoted women running for office. And it was a natural segue for me because I have always spoken for other people, for women, for children who are victims of crime. And I think being a voice for others lends itself to running for office. What I'm also seeing is now other women feel empowered that they can stand up and speak for others. They can speak for their communities, they can speak for their neighborhoods, and they feel that they are in the best place to do that this year.
I just want to say a little bit about the Me Too movement that has really sparked across the nation. And I can identify with that, as part of that Me Too movement. I can speak to abuse, sexual abuse. I can speak to sexual harassment, physical abuse, being sexually abused from my stepfather. So many women have so much to offer, and because they get stuck in that victim mode, they don't want to step out there and use their skills. And I just think it's a time for women to really exercise their potential and realize that we need you. We need you if you have been part of that Me Too movement. We need you to step out and to say that nobody defines my limitations, that I can be who I want to be. So it's a great time for us.
Okay, so I'm also a graduate of Emerge. I graduated in the 2016 class, and like what you said before, a lot of women do want to run, but you know, how do you do it? And so Emerge is an 8-month training program that teaches you exactly how to run a campaign. And just being out on the campaign trail, I see the benefit that I've gained from it, and I see some of the men that have not really gone through a training program, and they're struggling a bit. But I also want to add that, you know, this whole thing is snowballing. If we look at Congress, the first woman that was elected to Congress, Jeanette Rankin, was in 1917. So it's taken us 100 years to get to 20%. I mean, my God, we can't wait another 100 years to get to 40%. So people are stepping up. And the same is true at the state level. We have, I think, in 1971, only 5% of all state legislatures were women. In 2017, we were at 25%. So we still have a long way to go. So I'm hoping 2018 is going to jump that, so maybe we can get to 40%.
I'll just say, I'm not running for anything, or for any elected office at state or local level. But what I will say, I represent the Commission for Women, and one of the things that we do is every second or the last Sunday in January, we do a women's legislative briefing. It brings women advocates, community leaders, organizations. We partner with co-sponsoring organizations. Last year, this past briefing, we had over 65 co-sponsoring organizations that come, and Emerge was one of them as well. But one of the things that we promote is women running for office. So we had a Ready to Run panel. We had how to advocate. And so what I'd like to plug also is women community leaders. You know, as you see, Barack Obama started as a community leader and he became president. So you can move up from there. But I don't want to discount that level of advocacy, because in talking with, you know, I'm constantly engaged with my elected officials, and one of the things that they mention is that the community leaders help them in getting the background information, getting the information that they need to go onto the House floor or the Senate floor and make their case to get a bill passed. So I do want to make sure that if whoever is watching, I applaud all of the women who are just daring and bold enough and courageous enough to go out and run for elected office on our state and local levels. But I also want to encourage women to be involved and engaged in other ways as well, whether it is elected or appointed to a board such as the Commission for Women. We have them in pretty much all of the counties around the state, and there's also a Maryland state level commission. So,
You know, we have 141 members of the House of Delegates, and only 44 are women, and 14 African American women. And in the Senate, we have 47 members, only 11 are women, and only 5 are African American women. So we need to start at home, putting women into leadership positions in the House of Delegates and in the Senate in Maryland.
So I wanted to say, because it was your briefing where I met Diane Fink of Emerge that put me through the program, was the legislative briefing in 2015. But I wanted to put some stats. So Emerge started in 2013. There's been Emerge America, but the Maryland organization started in 2013. 88 women have gone through the program. 70% of those have won, and 60% of those are women of color.
wow.
This year, in 2018, 46 women are running at various different races throughout the state, ages 25 to 70, and 55% of those are women of color.
That's phenomenal. And what really jazzes me about this whole conversation is how we understand our power. Women understand that we were first ordinary voters, and we understood the freedom of franchise and that we had to exercise it. Now we've moved on the trajectory to become activists, and we now understand that there actually can be impact if we bring our voices together. And now we're moving to the place where we want to be engaged at the political table and making the policy that's going to affect the lives of so many around the state. And so that excites me because what we've got to do is keep that pipeline engaged and active at all of the levels. And so when we have organizations such as Emerge and organizations such as Emily's List nationally that are working to help women be prepared, we've got to just make sure anybody we know that says, I'm interested, that we get them connected to the resource so that they can be armed. Because what I love, what you said, Pam, when we get training, we can be better than any man in the world. Okay? And so, and the men looking at us saying, hey, how come she's so good at that? Because we know how to be trained, and we know how to apply the training that we receive. Am I right?
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, ladies, thank you very much. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Since I couldn't take the bus, as I was walking to work, I saw empty tree pits, empty tree wells, dilapidated playgrounds, or no playgrounds at all where there should be because there are tons of kids. And I wondered, why is this happening? And then I had a child, and I started touring schools. And I saw that in none of those schools, no matter the neighborhood, could you drink out of the water fountain because of the lead pipes. And I said, this is not right. And what is the common denominator that is holding all of this together? It was state underinvestment and state inaction. the state not responding appropriately to the needs of Baltimore City neighborhoods and residents. And I was a lawyer, and I loved being a lawyer, and I thought, well, I could do this one case at a time, but I might not live that long. So maybe it would be more efficient to add another voice in the room in Annapolis when we're talking about Baltimore and investment. Another voice, the voice of a mom who has a young kid and is raising him in the city. The voice of a civil rights attorney who's fighting side by side all of the communities around the city. And the voice of a transit and environmental advocate who recognizes the need for great public transit, clean, green neighborhoods and streets, and a clean harbor. And because of you and so many others, thank you for knocking on doors and holding house parties. We won. So thank you for that. And in the past 3 years, I've really tried to change and focus on that change that we are seeking and the change that I ran for. So I'm proud that with the help of folks like Delegate Heddleman, my chairwoman Maggie McIntosh, that we've produced tangible results on some of these issues. Parks and playgrounds. For 20 years, we were getting $1.5 million a year from the state through program Open State. $1.5 million for 20 years. 2 years ago, we passed a bill to increase that from $1.5 to $6 million a year. We passed liquor board reform. We said, no, the governor shouldn't be telling who our appointees are. That should be the mayor and the city council president deciding who decides our liquor board laws. And we passed very important bills having to do with education funding last year. So many of you were down in Annapolis fighting for our kids, for our schools, and I cannot thank you enough. We need you and we need your voices. And those bills we passed last year, the great thing about them is those were not one-year fixes. Those are multi-year bills that will result in real money and real savings for Baltimore City Public Schools until we can do that long-term fix that we're all going to work together on when the Kerwin Commission comes out with its results. So keep up your hard work. We're going to keep continuing to fight on education reform, and I'm going to be right along there with you. So thank you for all your work. The one issue that we're still working really hard on too is public transit. We haven't solved our public transit crisis yet, but even there we've made some key reforms, like ensuring, because of the bill that we passed last year, that MTA now has the flexibility that every other public transit system in the country has to spend its money how it wants to. Because we passed a repeal of the fare box mandate that was this sort of noose around the neck of MTA so that it couldn't spend money how it needed to. And now it has the flexibility. We just got to get a governor who's going to invest in public transit. Hear, hear. So when I ran to do a job, not to hold a job. And so when I decided to think about running for re-election, it was a conversation. Yes, it was a conversation with my husband, who was like, really, we're doing this again? But it was also a conversation, with my thinking of myself. What have I done? And is there still a place for me to be here? And at the end of the day, thinking about what's happening 50 miles south of us in our nation's capital, and what we haven't done, and what we need to do in Annapolis, I decided there is still so much more to do. So I am in it again to run for re-election. But I'm running again because I want to do the work of spreading justice and fairness in our state, of creating opportunity and breaking down barriers, and of creating government that works for all of us, for you, for me, for everybody in this city and in this state. What does that look like? That spreading justice and basic fairness, that means we don't leave each other behind. On the campaign trail a lot, I quote one of my former mentors and heroes, Paul Wellstone, that we all do better when we all do better. And that means that if Cherry Hill isn't succeeding, Federal Hill can't succeed. If Highlandtown isn't doing well, Fells Point can't do well. That we are all in it together, but that also translates to the state level. So I spend a lot of time talking to people at the state level about how Maryland will never be a truly great state until Baltimore City reaches its full potential. And that means investment in Baltimore City. I'm glad you mentioned the pre-K bill. I think we have a lot to do to sow the seeds of justice in Maryland law. And one of the bills that I was so proud to work on and pass in 1 year with some of the advocates here was to make sure that if we are treating our students right. Previously, a couple years ago, nearly 2,500 students in Maryland public schools from pre-K to second grade were suspended or expelled. 3 times more likely to happen to you if you're an African American boy, twice as likely to happen to you if you have a disability. That is no way to run a school system or to teach our kids and to plan for the future. I am so proud that working with the ACLU, Maryland Disability Rights Law, and others, we were able to say, no, that is not okay here in Maryland. Our schools are for education, and that is how we're going to do things here. So that was a huge bill. And I'll continue to champion bills to create a more just and a more fair Maryland, whether it's social justice issues, environmental justice issues, juvenile justice issues, criminal justice issues. Number 2, creating opportunity and breaking barriers. You all know I work on transit issues, and that's a huge economic development issue. But it is also about creating opportunity. In a large continuing study from Harvard, commute time was the #1 factor in the odds of escaping poverty. That means we need a better public transit system to ensure that our residents can get to the jobs that are available, and that is how we create opportunity and break down barriers for the people of Baltimore and the people of Maryland. And I'm going to keep working on that. Especially, I think, now that we look at the federal government, there's so much more to do to make sure we are ensuring access to jobs, to quality health care, to excellent schools. Excellent schools, that is all about creating opportunity, and I'm excited to continue that fight. Finally, I've thought a lot about this. I grew up in a family that believed in government. We sat around the kitchen table and we did debate bills. I'll be honest. Although when I was very young, my first memory is telling my dad I was going to vote for Reagan, and he was appalled. I was 5, so. But I believe in the power of good government to make a positive difference in people's lives. I am not ready to concede the war on government that Republicans have been waging for the past 25 years. At least. Yes, at least. And so I will continue to work to make sure that our government is enforcing our environmental laws at the state level, even if the EPA isn't doing its job. Making sure that our government is creating a transit system that we can be proud of, and a government that keeps us safe and invests in evidence-based violence prevention programs so that our neighbors, our kids are safe here in Baltimore and around the state of Maryland. Our government can and must do better, and I'm going to call it out when it doesn't. So justice, opportunity, and effective government. With those 3 ingredients, we all do better. Not just in Baltimore, but around the state of Maryland. We are the change we seek. And I think I read this book last night to my son. You parents will probably remember it, The Lorax. He reminds us that unless someone like you cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. I know you all care, and I care. And we want to build a better Baltimore and a better Maryland. And working together, I know that we can, and I know that we will. So, thank you.
This has been a phenomenal conversation, ladies. I just thank you all for joining us, and we're so grateful for each and every one of you taking your time to share your insights. I'm going to ask each one of them to give us a parting thought and allow us to know how we can get in contact with them, because these are some wonderful women. So why don't you share with us how we can reach you?
Well, first, the Commission for Women can be reached through we have a very long website address, so you can go to the Montgomery County Government Commission for Women, the website there. Our executive director is Jody Finkelstein, and we have a great number of resources available to you. Very happy to be here on this panel and share some of my thoughts, and hopefully see more women running in the near future.
You can follow me on Twitter at Ann Coltlitis or Facebook Ann Coltlitis for State's Attorney, or look at my website AnnArundelann.com. I just want to say I'm very happy to be on this panel, and as women, I think we're going to put the community first.
I'm State Senator Barbara Robinson, and it has been a fantastic time spending with these awesome women and learning and sharing. And you may reach me at barbara.robinson@senate.state.md.us. You can follow me on Twitter, or you can call me at my Annapolis office is 841-3656. That's area code 410-841-3656. And I do encourage more women to get involved in our state politics.
And I want to thank you and thank everybody. This has been a really, really enjoyable experience. You can find me on Twitter or Facebook at Luby for Delegate, and my website is pamluby.com. And if anybody out there wants to learn more about Emerge, it's emergemaryland.com. Experience.
I'm Margaret Lockley, and I want to thank you for joining us at A Place at the Table. And I hope to see you the next time when you take your place at the table.
Yeah.